Okay, here's the problem. I've got a suitcase that I really like, and the wheels have come apart. So this is what I had to do to fix it, and I'll show you a picture of the suitcase. Here's a picture of the other wheel. It's cracking pretty good here. There's no way to fix this once it starts going. One of the other problems I ran into is the axle for these wheels is a press fit, and then it is peened in place. So I had to look for another way to fix that, and what I was able to find were some shoulder bolts. Shoulder bolts fit very nicely in the bearing. Taking the bearings out of the other wheel, and this is what they look like once they're out of the wheel. Here are the replacement wheels. So far they seem to be working pretty well, and the bearing that is installed in the wheel is very dissimilar to the bearing that was in there. And the reason for this little shoulder is it goes into the plastic wheel foundation on the suitcase. I was able to find some VBX skateboard bearings. There is no part number on them. There is a little shoulder on it. This is the old bearing. This is the new bearing. The difference is these are not metal sealed like these are. This is a 608. I don't think you can see that. A 608Z, which means it is sealed on both sides, but I'm going to give them a shot. The other item I forgot to mention is when I got these wheel bearings from the wheelchair company, they were quite long. They were about like this. So I had to take a measurement of the existing bearing shoulder from here to here. And I had to trim the excess off. Trim that off, and it's almost an exact fit. Here is my suitcase. Here's what the new wheels look like installed. I was able to reuse the old axle, and I will show you how I did that in a bit. Okay, so this was the situation I found. I thought this was going to be a pretty easy fix to remove this wheel until I took this off. That's when I found this. That is not a screw. It is somehow it is machined in there. They press fit it. And the way I actually got in there is I have these, I think they're called Deming bits. I took that, and that was big enough to drill out that section. There's a washer under there, so that'll protect it from you drilling into the plastic. And there's probably some other ways you could do that. You could probably do that with a Dremel and grind that off so that you can get this axle out of the wheel. There's a couple of different ways to deal with this. I drilled this out, and I got it so I could pull this axle out of the wheel and replace the bearings. So after you drill or grind that machine surface off there, you got something that looks like this. And this is a new wheel, but I'm doing this to show you how I managed to fix all this. Once that axle comes out, you may have an uneven finish on there, and it's kind of important that you be able to drill a straight hole down into that shaft. I'm going to show you how I accomplish that next. This is a set of transfer punches that I picked up at Harbor Freight. And if you look, you can see that the top of these are machined to allow you to go down inside something and transfer that match mark. Now with these transfer punches, what I was able to do was find one that fit right straight down in there. And then I was able to take the pointed end, you might be able to see that there, and take that and stick it down in there, and then strike that with a hammer, and that gave me the center of the shaft. What I was able to do next is take that over to my drill press, put it in a vise, and then I was able to drill a hole in the center of this shaft. Now I got kind of lucky because I had parts laying around, and I looked in one of my parts bins, and I had some 1/4-20 fasteners in one of these parts bins, so I drilled out the hole in the center of this, and then I was able to tap it to 1/4-20, and that's how I replaced the axle. Something else I was able to order were these shoulder bolts. So this is the original axle, and this is what's known as a shoulder bolt. And this shoulder bolt fits perfectly in that bearing. And then after the wheel was pressed in place, you've got an Allen fastener there, and then there's enough exposed on the backside that you would be able to put a washer and a nut on there. And because I didn't go that route, I didn't buy a nut for that yet. So that may be on the next iteration when I blow out a wheel next time. And in order to keep everything nice and secure, I put a little drop of blue Loctite on there. And screw it down until it's snug. Make sure the wheels still turn. And we've got one replaced Kirkland wheel on a Suitcase that has been with me for a long time.